Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of SoundHound AI, ticker symbol SOUN. And so here I am recording this on Tuesday, November 26th, after the market has closed. And SoundHound closed at a price of $7.61, being down about 5.25% on the day. And so, yeah, I wanted to go over the chart real briefly, but I wanted to get into the unusual whales options data because I think that this looks pretty appealing. It was requested on Sunday during Ticker Request Live, and so I went over a lot of the lines here so you can check that out if you'd like to get into kind of the nitty gritty details of it. But really, looking at these levels here, it is more or less based on the analysis of Mr. Chart Norris here. And so I would recommend following him on X. He does a lot of great analysis on there, posts very simple charts that are very easy to read and understand. So, I would definitely check him out, give him a follow. And so, his analysis here was based on the monthly chart, and I have just kind of, applied that analysis to the daily chart that we're looking at here. And so from that, we've got this downtrending level here going back to what was the all-time highs at $18.14, also marked by this red line here. And so from that point, drawing this downtrend, we've got the other pivot point here that was hit on approximately Pi Day of 2024, so March 14th, and that was a high of $10.25 hit on Pi Day. And so from that, we see this level that has acted as resistance, but more recently, we have broken above it. And so I think that's pretty key. And so Mr. Chart Norris's analysis is based on, this being a cup and handle pattern and that we have broken out. So you've got the cup here, the handle over here, and we have broken out and are testing, basically the brim of that cup, that neckline there. But I could also view this as being, whether it's a cup and handle formation or an inverse head and shoulders formation, really, they're kind of the same. You could view this as a left shoulder here, and then the right shoulder over here. Maybe that has a little bit of an upslope, but I just drew, this horizontal line here at $10.20, thinking that, if this is a cup and handle, you got the cup here, pivot point there at 10.25. I should probably adjust that to be at 10.25 as that was the pivot high from Pi Day. And then getting up to that level, 10.25, maybe we'd see a rejection, but it does look like we're already kind of seeing that, having broken out from this downtrend. And then looking at these levels to the downside, levels of support, I do have this uptrend drawn here going back to the lows of February of this year, as well as the lows from, August 5th when the markets were gapping down. And so that's how you get those two pivot points there. And following, these moves up, we have been respecting that uptrend. So I think that looks pretty good. I also do have these lines here drawn at 394 and 445, but I don't really see it going any lower than $5 a share. That would be right around here where the cursor is. There was a bounce testing that uptrend, and so I kind of feel like that's worst case scenario, and I do think that there is a lot of upside potential for this. But before I get into that, I did want to just point out that here there was a little bit of a fake out break above that downtrend, pulled back, and then we broke back above. So I would look for this to pull back a little bit more, perhaps finding some support right around here. That would be, let's say, between 720 up to 730. Maybe it goes a little bit lower, wicks below this line. Maybe it closes below that line, but as long as we just see one close below there or only wicks below this downtrend, I think it's looking pretty good. So perhaps it even comes down to $7 a share, but ideally it holds right around that level as support and then continues higher. And so where could I see this going? So if I take a step back to look at, this bigger picture, since this is a cup and handle pattern, I can, take a measurement to get an idea of where a measured move could be taking the stock price. And so just going back here to the lows of, it looks like 93 cents, but I've actually already done that. I've just graded out. So I'm just going to bring that back into picture, and so we can see this measurement going from that low of 93 cents with the midpoint corresponding with not only this purple horizontal line, this prior high over here, but also corresponding approximately with this downtrend. And so I have that right around 1025 to give us an idea of the upside. And so if I do take a step back at that whole box in the frame, we can see that the upside target is right around $20 a share. So that's where I could see SoundHound going. And, from this drawing, we can see that the right side of the rectangle is over here, and that would be around the end of June. So June 24th approximately is where that would take us. So I could see SoundHound getting up to around $20 a share over the course of the next 7 months or so. And because of that, I thought it would be nice to look at some unusual whales options data. And so I'm going to flip over to that. And then I'm just going to go through this process that I've been doing just to kind of compile this data for these weekly options videos that I go over. And so for me personally, I get a little bit overwhelmed by all of the data that's on unusual whales. There are just so many tickers, so many strikes and expirations to explore. And so to kind of refine that, to make it a little bit easier for me to process, I like to actually extract data from unusual whales, put it into a spreadsheet, and go over that data just because it's a little easier for me to understand. And so here, what I have from doing the open interest contract lookup, I have what is behind ED, but you can see it up here, is the SoundHound $13 call strike for July 18th. And so I would have preferred for this to be June 20th. I follow a lot of contracts that expire then, just because it gives me a lot of wiggle room to kind of adjust in case I'm wrong, to get my average down and whatnot. But for this one, there are no contracts in either May or June. There are only some in April and July, and I can actually show you that just looking at the data over here. And if I go to the options tab, we can see that there's the April expiration here and then the July expiration here, but there is nothing on June. Actually, if I do go over to the quarterly, we can actually see, there's no June, so it's kind of odd, but there is that July contract expiration. And so that is what I am looking at. But why am I looking at only $13 and not $20? And so I can actually show you that here. It might be a little quicker than doing it in unusual whales, but we can see that the maximum call strike for that July 18th expiration is $13. So, that's why I'm going with it, because it's the highest strike for that monthly contract. And so coming back over here, we can see some data from today, but what I like to do is scroll down here to the historical volume and open interest. And then I like to extract this data and then put it into Excel. And so the way that I do that, I can't extract this as text. I'm not really sure why. It's a little bit annoying. So what I've resulted in doing is just taking a screenshot of it. I'm using a Mac, and then so I copy that into Preview and then extract the data as text. And so I'll just walk you through that. And so I'm just doing, it's Command-Shift-4 to get the screenshot. And then I just take this data. It's actually pretty limited. I try to get all the data going back until the beginning of November, but this only goes back to November 14th because they're pretty new contracts. And so here I've got this, and then just on my screen, you guys can't see it. I'm just going to right click on this little image of that and select Open in Preview. And so now let's see, I've got that in Preview over here. And so we can see all of that data, that's over here. And so I'm just going to hover over it so you can see the little cursor there, and I'm going to highlight it and copy that data and then paste it into Excel. And actually, before I do this, though, I need to adjust some things in Excel. So here we are looking at the Rumble call that I've been going over, or that I at least will be going over on Saturday. And so I am just going to copy this tab and then repopulate it with the SoundHound data. And so I'm just going to duplicate it here. So we've got that, and then I'm just going to adjust the name of the tab to sound so I know what it is. And so up here, I'm just going to change the title to sound, and this is a $13 call, and this is July 18th. And I do plan on making the spreadsheet that I'm going over on a weekly basis available via Google Sheets or Google Docs, whatever. But for now, I'm just updating it in Excel for my own personal use, really just to kind of refine some things about it. And then once I do have it refined, then I will make it available, for all of you guys, whether you want to use it as a template or actually just kind of follow along the stocks that I'm tracking. And so here, I've got this label, but this is unfortunately including the Rumble data. So I am just going to select all of the data here, and I am going to clear it. And so let's see, clear all contents. And so there we go. And since the data only goes back to the 14th, I believe that is correct, I'm actually just going to delete these rows because there's no data. And so there we go. Those are deleted. And now I can populate this table from that screenshot that I took. So everything's still highlighted. It's going to get a little bit wonky here because of some of the spaces, but hopefully I should be able to paste the majority of it, no problem, into here. And so the top date is November 26th, so that is today. So I'm just going to line it up there, paste that into here, and then I am going to match the destination formatting, just kind of separating things with the shading by week. And so what we can see, I'm actually just going to pull up that preview just so I make sure that I got all of this correct there. And so let's see, these could be zeros, so I'm just going to put some zeros in there. And let's see, everything else I think looks good. Quite possible that I'll make a mistake with this, but I think things look pretty good. And so now we can see, the options data here from Unusual Whales, but it would be nice to have the underlying data for the stock. And so I'm actually just going to go to, Yahoo Finance for that. So I'm just going to search that, get that here, and then I can search for sound to find that. Get the data here by clicking historical data. And let's see, let's just get that to load. And so now I've got this table with the closes here. And so what I'm going to do is basically the exact same thing I did extracting the data from Unusual Whales, because if I were to just highlight this and drag, I'd get all of this data. I just want the closing price for each day going back to the 14th. And rather than typing that in, I'm just going to copy and paste it. So pressing Command Shift 4, I am going to extract this data going back to the 14th. Now I'm going to right click on that screenshot to open in preview. And now I have that here. Pretty exciting. And then I'm just going to highlight that. Hopefully I'm able to paste it fine. It looks like it might be offset a little bit, which might screw things up. So I'm just going to paste that here. And as we can see, yeah, things are a little screwed up, but that's fine. So I'm actually just going to paste it over here. And then I am just going to set this equal, to the cells over here. And I'm just going to drag that down, but not change any of, screwed that up. Let's see, you're going to drag that down and not change any of the formatting. So let's see, fill without formatting. So there we go. And now I can delete this over here. and clear that out. Wait, what? Okay, so what I want to do, before I delete that, copy and paste it just as, let's see, paste values. There we go. Now I can delete the data from over here. And, one thing that I like to do is I like to keep track of, kind of the motivation, the inspiration for these charts that I go over. So I am going to, let's see, type in today's date. And then I will post a link to the tweet over here from Mr. Chart Norris. I'm just going to copy that and paste it over here. Just going to adjust the format so things don't look too ugly. And so now we got this hyperlink there. And also, because this was inspired by, let's see, my ticker request live on Sunday, I am actually going to go to that as well. So we can see, just go into the DGenEd website, go to the live tab here. And yeah, so this is the video that I went over that, the live stream. And so I am just going to copy that and add that to here. And let's see, I'm just going to delete all this extra stuff. Don't need what's following the question mark. There, I've got some information there. And so now, yeah, this is a contract, a call that I will be following probably on a weekly basis every Saturday to see if there are some good times to be accumulating. But right now, I mean, it does look like it has topped over here, whether that's the underlying stock based on those closes over here, or the average premium traded on the day, which I did get from Unusual Whales. And so we can see that this, actually, things are looking a little bit screwed up. This stuff is not lined up correctly. So what I am going to do is, why is it? Oh, the reason why it doesn't look lined up is because there is a gap here. So that's kind of unfortunate. We can see a point over here, but I just like to have the lines. I don't like to have the dot markers. And so we can see that, that premium has gone up a bunch in blue. It does look like it's pulling back a little bit along with the price. And so I think that we may see some really good opportunities to dip by, maybe when the premium comes down to around, like, I don't know if it'd come down to like 60 cents again. I would actually say maybe 80 cents. So it would be putting in effectively higher lows than it was over here. And also considering the IV, that is pretty close to 100%, but it is still relatively low compared to how high it was over here on the 14th, where we first got that data. And so we can see the IV over here, also relative to the total premium. And we can see that the spike in premium on the 22nd was $80,473. And following that, does look like that was based on the net selling of these contracts, as the open interest did go down between those days and actually went down a considerable amount. And so that does suggest to me that, the top was over here, but we also have to factor in 80,000. That's a lot of money, but really, the data starts to get kind of unusual when we see spikes up to like 1 million, stuff like that, because if you look up what a YOLO is on Wall Street Bets, that is $10,000. So this is just 8 degens in a room, YOLOing on this. So it's not really that crazy. It's not that unusual. But if I do follow this, especially with all the wiggle room between now and July 18th, I think that we could see some really, really nice dip buying opportunities to swing this for, 10, 20, 80 or 100% and beyond gains, because that is what I like to do with these calls. That's what I have been doing. So far, it's been successful. Maybe I screw up, though. And so, I think it's fun to follow along with those Saturday videos as I go over this data. All of these tickers that are listed down here, and actually, if I do go over to my theses, I've gone over all of these. This is kind of my thesis. I do this to not fall in love and to not be greedy, but to take profits, in kind of a systematic way. And so just pulling back to the chart here before I close this video, like I said, I could see this possibly coming back down to around $5 a share. And so if that does happen, that could be some excellent dip buying opportunities, not only for the stock price, but also, for this contract that I will be tracking every Saturday moving forward. So make sure you join for that if you'd like to learn more about this, because I do think that the stock price could be heading up towards, if not to, $20 a share by, let's say, June of next year. And so I'm excited to follow that, and I hope you guys are too. But, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And tune in Saturdays for highly regarded options theses, as well as ticker request live Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks a lot for watching, and take care, you guys. Cheers.